and this is like the easiest.
I'm up.
Are we down?
There's a bunch of F's in the chat.
If we're down, it's either
Stream's over.
I don't know.
YouTube's done. It's Susan
That's
pulled
it.
All
plug.
over.
Did you get the strike? What happened?
It's all over.
Stream cancelled.
Helena Taylor striked up.
I mean, my bit rate's like you guys can
Oh,
hear
we're
me,
back.
right?
It says
We're back.
up.
We're back.
Oh, we're back.
You guys can hear me,
Yeah.
right? Like you could hear me through
Yeah.
that whole thing.
It says we're up.
All
Yeah.
right.
Yeah, it's that
We're
has
back.
to be the service. My bit rate's still fine.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look, Evan's camera didn't skip a beat or any of that. Oh, I see. And they cut off the last one, so we have
Yeah.
just another
Yep.
video up still.
There you go.
I don't know.
Yeah, I like the game. I think the game is cool. The campaign is dumb military combat fun like all the other ones, but yeah, I haven't played the multiplayer yet. I am going to jump in and probably check it out tomorrow. Actually,
Yeah, you should jump on. We got a whole crew going. There you go. I'm gonna label this part 1. Part 1. There you go, everyone. And I have to redo the description for this again. Okay.
Jakes.
Okay, YouTube.
Well,
YouTube is just not having it tonight. Yeah, I think that was just, I don't know, the hiccup with YouTube or something there, because Evan had it perfectly fine actually the whole time.
Apparently, yeah, I don't know.
Anyway, Call of Duty out now.
Yep.
Fun game, but it's still Call of Duty. I'll just say that. So it's nothing too crazy going on over here with this one. They did put in ledge hanging. I've used it once by accident. That's about it. There was one level where I was swimming underwater. That was kind of cool. In multiplayer, I was getting behind some of the enemy team that way because you swim through canals underneath the level. But otherwise, it still just feels like Call of Duty. So good stuff. Good stuff there. And then Evan, we have another Discord question over there.
This one's looks like it's specifically for MVG. What's your thoughts on the whole 30 FPS controversy on consoles as a developer from an artistic point of view? This person is talking about it mostly from the perspective of like Gotham Knights and whatnot.
John and I made a video about this, so I would say check out his video because we kind of went a little deep on the discussion. But I think the 30 FPS thing with Gotham Knights is an underlying optimization issue that they still have yet to figure out. I don't think it's something that, you know, there's been some reports about how 30 FPS is going to be the new normal for a while as games are now just next gen only. I do think that there'll be a lot of 60 FPS games.
Here's the interesting thing with this one is Digital Foundry did a video on it. They found that it was CPU bound. So they had a really nice setup on PC and they noticed that, okay, it's all delegated by the CPU. It's bottlenecked by that. So it almost seems like that's their issue overall, not like the industry itself. Because the idea is we have better CPUs in these consoles now compared to last generation, and I think that's one of the reasons we're seeing so many performance 60 FPS modes.
Yeah.
So Gotham Knights seems to be an outlier, I think, right now. We'll see as we go along, but I think the Series S is okay. It has the same CPU. I think it's going to be fine. It's not there for 4K. It's there for 1080p.
The Goldfish guy, the Goldfish gamer, said that the Xbox Series S was bad.
How many frames is Call of Duty doing on the Series S?
120.
120.
Yeah, but remember, you can't. None of the
Ridiculous.
objects in the game they're all static. There's nothing you can do in that game.
How am I supposed to enjoy the game if I can't knock the 2-liter Coke off that person's
Right? You
desk?
can't shoot any fruit.
Immersion.
This is ridiculous.
Don't,
You can't shoot any fruit. What's the point?
immersion.
Is there a fruit stand in Call of Duty too?
Probably can't shoot it.
Don't downplay
ridiculous.
immersion.
This is ridiculous.
OJ's talking. No one can hear him because he's muted.
Why is he muted?
My bad.
Oh, I thought something happened. Okay.
Oh.
Okay.
So
good.
didn't the series like Plague still like run better on like Xbox Series S?
Gotham
or
Knights
PS5?
apparently runs better, which is funny because it's just a
Yeah.
lower resolution, so it's closer to 30.
That
now.
whole nonsense with these fake 2-bit ghetto Twitter developers saying that it's the Series S is so weird.
Yeah, I think the Series S is going to be all right. I think it'll be
fine.
okay. It's not there to be the 4K machine. It's there to get you by. So I think it does pretty good at they're basically getting it to 250 now over the holidays. I think it's a pretty good little machine at $250.
I still haven't unboxed mine.
What's wrong with you?
I don't know.
It's
It's almost a test for the cleaners to see if they try to steal it. Because it's been sitting in the same spot
okay,
for like
okay.
3 times that they've been here. Like, they
okay.
moved it around to clean around it. Which is
Well, before the stream explodes again, let's stop for a moment here. I want to thank the sponsor for tonight's podcast, who's actually supported many channels, even on this podcast. I know Sean did some stuff with Raycon pretty recently too, and they've been coming through for YouTube. Jordan, I think you did some Raycon stuff. Yeah, yeah, they've been coming
I've
through. I
done
don't
some
know
Raycon stuff.
MVG. See, look at this. And now Raycon coming through with their new gaming series, and they wanted to sponsor the podcast so we could show some of those off here. I even took pictures of. Look at that picture. Look at professionally done.
Wow.
Professional. I know.
Look at that
It's
purple.
crazy. Right? Purple on purple. I'm very good apparently at framing these out.
I could've-
It's
Those are
It's-
gaming buds.
oh, they got the gaming buds. See, they have some new audio products. They're geared toward gaming.
They don't see that, Sean. There's a picture up.
Specifically with their wireless gaming earbuds. They got the more portable experience that Sean is showing off there. They have the wireless gaming headphones. They have more immersive sessions that way. That headphones, they work across all platforms. You got 2.4 gigahertz or Bluetooth, switch between them. Don't have to worry about getting a different pair for each system. Optimized gaming mic, focuses on your voice, blocks out noise. I was playing Call of Duty yesterday. Probably 80% of people could have used this thing. There's chewing and arguing all over the place. Cushion soft, sits comfortably on your ears for long playing
Sounds like
sessions.
Call of Duty.
Yes. But it doesn't have to sound like Call of Duty with the gaming headset from Raycon. All this go along with sound quality Raycon's known for. Stay on the winning team. Go to buyraycon.com/spawncast today. Get 15% off your Raycon order. You also get $20 off Raycon's gaming earbuds or $10 off their gaming headphones. I told them to put that in there. It's supposed to only be for October, all right? But it's October 29th now. So they left it in there, all right? So get some extra money off over the next couple of days there. That's buyraycon.com/spawncast to score 15% off and even more savings. Buyraycon.com/spawncast. Shout out to Raycon. Let's go over here. Let's talk about Xbox. Xbox was in the news over this past week for a couple things. One, apparently Game Pass is profitable. At least that's according to Phil Spencer during his Wall Street Journal talk. I don't know how profitable it is or if they had to cut expenses and then announce it or what, but that was a big question for people, is how sustainable is Game Pass? Apparently it's sustainable enough to be profitable. I don't know if that's surprising anyone at this point, where they have roughly somewhere between 25 and 30 million subscribers, and that's still pretty far off, I assume, from their ultimate goal, which is probably at least that 100 million mark.
Yeah.
Wow, no thoughts. Okay, everyone just like, yeah, it's profitable. We did it. Congratulations.
I mean, I'm not making money off of it, so.
Confetti. Okay. Well, people were worried that they would give up on it if it.
Well, like Colt Eastwood here? Come on, I don't give a shit.
Well, Google Stadia. If Google Stadia was profitable, it'd still be around.
I like his videos. That guy knows how to.
I don't
himself.
dislike Colt Eastwood. I think he's very
I don't
glass
gotta
is half
agree with-
full.
And I like it though.
Google Stadia would have been profitable. It'd still be around. People could still be calling me a Stadia fanboy. What could have been? But we did hear a bit more from Phil Spencer about the idea that pricing somewhere could go up. Didn't exactly specify where.
Who talked about that? When didn't we talk about that? I thought we talked about that.
This was this past week, actually, a couple days ago. And this is Phil Spencer said, going into the holidays, we thought it was really important that we maintain the prices that we have. We have to look at the return on our business, to the cost of the business. We have held price on our console. We have held price on our games for us and our subscription. I do not think we'll be able to do that forever. So, of course, this spun up the idea that something's going up in price soon. We saw Sony raise the price of their PS5 consoles in all regions except for the US. So where do we think, how do we think Microsoft would do this? Let's say going into next year when the big releases start dropping, like a Starfield, like a Forza, like a Redfall.
I mean, they're probably going to go to 70, right?
70's the move.
Yeah,
That's
I think
what
70 is going to be the move.
That's what I thought. Is like the first thing that goes up is the price of the game because it's already there. It's like we're just fitting in with the marketplace here. And there might even be some pressure from third parties to do that. Where they're like, hey, our NBA 2K is 70. You guys keep releasing your first party stuff at 60. Can we fix that? Can you just come up to 70 for us? And Microsoft, according to Phil Spencer, eating the cost anywhere from $100 to $200 per console. Apparently, it's according to him. That's a lot to be eating on each console.
I believe it. I mean, we've both opened up those systems. You see how much stuff they pack in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot going on in there.
So it makes sense that they'd raise the price of the games. Do we think there's a possibility they raise the price of the systems? Like, do you think they get hit with that pressure and they're like, well, we got to go up now. It's getting a little ridiculous. We have to. We got to go. It's $550 for the Series X now.
I don't think they're going to increase the console price, but I think games plus
and
Game Pass, we'll get the boost.
Okay. Game Pass going up in price.
Yeah.
Yep.
I
think it's inevitable.
Okay. Next year, 2023, it's going in price.
I think with the games from first party Microsoft games start dropping, yes.
Okay. Yeah. So that's they got to put the games out. They haven't put any games out this year for their big first party division.
Grounded? Come on. Don't make me get Colt Eastwood on here.
Grounded. There is Pentiment that's coming out soon. There you go. I'm trying to.
You
help.
said Pentiment with a straight face. You're a good.
Pentiment. Yeah. What if that game comes out and it drops a 94 and it goes in the Game of the Year discussion and wins it? Wouldn't that be ridiculous?
I wouldn't care. It looks horrible.
I mean, it can. It has a very talented development group behind it. The lead
Sean just said it looks
developer
terrible.
is well established. He's known for his narratives. So
Sean just said
it looks terrible to me. It's not a game that I would like to play.
I don't know. People really like this Grounded game, Sean.
They can enjoy it all they like. Some people like to pay women to show them feet. I don't like that.
I thought that was going in a completely different direction, but all right,
it could have, but you know.
It definitely could have. So next year, Forza's coming, Starfield's coming, Redfall seems like they're getting ready to release it. It almost feels like that might. I wonder if that's the first game to come out next year, because a lot of trailers have been dropping for it, and the game actually looks pretty good. So Forza's in the spring, Redfall's earlier in the year, Starfield's. What if Starfield's next holiday?
Ooh, could be. That's a long time.
I thought it was going to be. I don't see that game coming out before November.
You think it's getting delayed?
I mean, they've already delayed it once. Like they just said 2023, didn't they? They're just like, it's coming out next year. So couldn't they delay it and then just be like, oh no, it's actually holiday? I mean, Halo saw a full year delay. They could do that.
And it still wasn't ready.
Shout out to Ford with the very generous super chat saying they're loving Xeno 3, but the hours to beat the game are too much now at 38. It's going to be a bit longer.
No, I think he means age 38.
Oh, at 30. Okay, yeah, 38. Yeah, only games I beat for single playthrough at over 100 hours. Persona 5 and Elden Ring. Been gaming since 89. Remember, you guys do this for a living. Most of us don't. Yeah, you're absolutely right in that regard that most people will play, I don't know, an hour or two at most per day, and that's good. Like, especially if you're a bit older now, or you're not like when we were in high school, or
you got like a wife and kids,
always play games. Like we get home, we do homework, we just play the rest of the day or something like that, or on the weekend, just all weekend. But you're right, and that's one of the reasons for that. I liked the Resident Evil Village game length. I don't mind if a game is really good and it's a really good 10 hours.
I didn't mind the length.
15 hours.
The last 3/4 of the game were kind of wonky.
Yeah, but like if you can get a game that is a really solid 10 to 15 hours, sometimes I kind of prefer that over a game that might end up taking you 100 hours, because some people can even fall out of a game in that time. Fortunately with Xenoblade, we already know kind of what we're getting into when you start that thing up. But if it's a game that feels like it's Final Fantasy VII Remake, that one is one that always sticks in my mind as a game that probably could have been much shorter, and I would have been okay with it.
They padded the hell out of that game.
That's what I mean. That's a game where I would have gotten kind of annoyed if I'm like in a position like Ford says here. I'd have been kind of annoyed. I'd been like, this game just keeps going for no reason. Because it starts to feel like they're not respecting your time. So that's one instance. But yeah, for Persona 5, Elden Ring, Persona 5, you can almost view as like a long like TV series or something. But yeah, shout out to Ford, very generous super chat there. And let me go over to let me go over Nate, get his opinion on this before we move to Discord question. I'll look at the super chats again too. Nate, what goes up first in price? Games, Game Pass, console.
I mean, of the three, it's more than likely going to be games because we haven't seen Microsoft really release a AAA exclusive for the Series X, Series S line of hardware yet. So it'd just be a natural means for them to increase the price to $70. It's not going to surprise anyone if that happens. It also would increase value to Game Pass. Charging more for games now makes Game Pass look like a better deal. It is inevitable that Game Pass will go up in price. The more successful the service is, the more subscribers it gains, the more original offerings Microsoft puts to the service. They'll increase the price just like Netflix. And that's how Netflix sustains themselves. They go out for original programming. Microsoft is going to do the same thing with software. So it's inevitable Game Pass will go up in price. It could be a very modest increase, 10, 15%. It's not like they're all of a sudden going to be charging $300 a year for Game Pass Ultimate. What's it at now? 180 for Ultimate?
Yeah, because it's 15 a month. Yeah.
Okay, so let's say they go up to the psychological barrier of $199.99. It's below $200. It still sounds, feasible.
That'd be about $15.99 per month then.
Yeah, so it still sounds good. You charge $70 for games. They increase their revenue that way. They could also go out of their way to introduce premium accessories. Sony has that controller that's coming out for $200.
Well, they have the Elite controller.
But now they could go even further. They can come out with, the Elite controller. There's ways to raise costs while still looking friendly to the consumer. I don't see them raising the price of the Series S or the Series X, at least not in all markets. Maybe in some of their underperforming markets where they can take that gamble and the risk. But you're not going to raise it in North America where Sony has yet to increase the price of the PS5. That would put Microsoft at a disadvantage. So that wouldn't be something in their strategy. They could look at something like England where Sony has raised the price, look at the Xbox performance and say, we're not that competitive with Sony. We're still selling well. We're not going to raise it the full way to match Sony for parity. Maybe we're going to split the difference.
What if they drop the Series S to 250, but they increase the Series X to 550?
Have to look at what the returns are or the loss and how they're subsidizing each of these platforms, because the Series S is already priced very competitively, and that is one of the gateways that they're trying to make appealing to more of the casual consumer. And then you get the Game Pass subscription to boost the profit revenue margin. But the Series X is they also know that's their flagship platform. That's what's competing with the PS5 head-to-head. You want to make that as appealing as possible in direct competition with the PlayStation 5. And the PlayStation 5 having the digital edition, which is, one-to-one in terms of performance, coming in at $100 less, I'd want to keep the Series X as competitive with those two platforms as I can and leave the Series S alone. Let the retailers do the discounts, make the bundles of you get NBA 2K free for $250. Let them do those type of bundles. I wouldn't officially give that a price cut if I were Microsoft for the foreseeable future. But Microsoft has a lot that they can look to and balance when it comes to engaging in price raising. And I think it would be software first, Game Pass probably by the end of next year. Hardware, I don't think they're going to touch.
Okay. Fair enough. Leave hardware as is. Hardware would be tough when it comes to just the optics of it and the PR, because Sony did it and they got free PR from it basically by just doing nothing. So it's interesting though, because that means that then would the standard at that point just be $70 for games? Like we're there then across at that point. It's like it's 70.
And I think Microsoft would use a scalable pricing solution. Not all of their games would be $70. It would be more of just the AAA releases. Whereas a game like Pentiment, I still think would come in well below $70.
Oh, Pentiment I think is 20.
Yeah, so I think they're going to use that type of scale where big games like Gears of War, yes, Forza, Starfield, those games definitely $70.
Did we have an Xbox Series only game that released at $60 recently?
I think the only Xbox Series game from a Microsoft publisher was what it was, Flight Simulator.
So that would be a jump to 70 mid-gen then, basically.
But the problem is we really haven't had a single exclusive from Microsoft come out on the platform.
I guess
So they
that's
haven't
true.
had a reason to raise the price, because Sony, you could say, oh yeah, look, Sony has done this, but Sony has released exclusives.
Yes. Okay.
Whereas you could buy those PS4 cross-gen games that had the free upgrade path for $60. You got the free upgrade. So we haven't seen that situation from Microsoft yet, and I think that's kind of, they have to approach this very delicately. But I think with proper marketing, they could easily do it, and no one's going to say, "Oh my God, look at Microsoft raised the price." It's $70 has been a standard for a lot of releases at this point. It's an inevitability. And yeah, there'll be some outrage, but it's going to be faux outrage just for the sake of bitching.
Okay. There you go. Let me go to the super chats here. Zesty's Retro and Game says you should bring Adam Koralik on the show. Hashtag Team RGT. Yeah, we know Adam. We've met him at one of I think one of the conventions, right?
Yeah, I've met Adam a couple
I feel like it was
times.
too many games.
He's always at too many games.
Lord Farquaad said Fiona is so hot. Thanks, Lord Farquaad. Alpha says, what is more concerning, Microsoft-like companies in the buyout scape buying big fish, or Embracer Group getting all the smaller fish? Both have pros. Embracer Group quietly did it too. That's the wild thing. People didn't really notice until it was too late. Now they have a lot. They need to start releasing some big time games though. They really haven't done that part necessarily yet. But hey, they deliver Time Splitters. It was all worth it. Zoop says recent events show COD is too entrenched. AJ says, rip Ryan Karasja? That's without Low Roar. Death Stranding wouldn't have been as impactful as it was. I did see that Ryan had passed, but it was for Low Roar and all of that, which yes, Low Roar had a massive impact on Death Stranding.
That's very sad to hear.
Absolutely. Yeah. I just saw that before we were going live with the news that popped up online. As it was not even close. Your music will forever be remembered. Thank you, AJ. Cedric says, why does Phil Spencer look like Matthew Perry? Does he?
I can see that.
Maybe the same head shape, but not really. They don't really look alike. They're just both rich white guys.
Chris says, thanks you all for all you do. Nita tonight just lost Gma today. Really needed this distraction. Sorry to hear that, Chris.
Sorry for your loss.
Sorry about that, man.
This is from Rovita. Says, got Star Ocean, the Divine Force yesterday. I'm 10 hours in on PS5. I'm loving it. Maybe more than Tales of Arise. So much fun. Any of you playing? I have played like 2 or 3 hours of Star Ocean. I wanted to play more, but it's just a lot. Man, a lot is hitting. Star Ocean's going to be a long game too. You can already kind of tell. But I don't know if they made it any better. The facial animations, it still look like plastic dolls. Oh gosh. Hey, it's on the right path. It's like a 70 some odd on Metacritic, and that's up from the 58 from Faithlessness. So Khalil says also might buy Persona 5 Royal Physical.
You psycho.
Skyler says
Wait,
said
you bought
might.
Star Ocean over Persona 5?
Oh no, that's from Khalil. That also
okay.
might. Yeah, he bought Star Ocean. They bought Star Ocean over, but that's like the physical copy. I assume Persona 5's released so many times they probably already have it somehow.
Oh, okay.
Or on Game Pass. It's on Game Pass. You just download and play it. Skylar says we need Newswave in 4K. I need Comcast to give me more upload than 10 up, so it doesn't take 3 hours to upload 4K footage. Hey, when we get there,
you can
we
drive
might.
to my new place to upload it. That'd be great.
But I mean, if I'm already at your new place, I can just hand you the flash drive with it on it. Cedric says MVG's lighting giving off mad Instagram logo vibes.
That's it.
Does it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
The
selling out,
pink,
buddy?
orange, and purple combo.
Dude, I wish they'd give me a bag.
The Insta bag.
Quest for Glory says RGT5, you missed Garfield lasagna party in your video 4 days ago. Games
I was
for
well
November.
aware that Garfield Lasagna Party from Microdis is coming out.
You missed that?
I did not include it. I try to include games that are good or that have potential to be good.
Man.
And you don't think it has potential?
How do you know that's going to be bad?
Yeah, have you
Was
played it?
Are you
Garfield
a
Kart any
psychic?
good? Was
I
Garfield
don't know.
Kart from the same company any good? No, it was
I
not.
have it sealed. I don't know.
It's not a good game.
Didn't people do sponsor spots for that game?
For Garfield Kart? I didn't. No, you're thinking of Nickelodeon Kart.
What about Hello Kitty Kart?
What about Smurf?
What about
Kart?
Smurf Kart? Yeah.
Yeah, they got a Smurfs game.
They got Smurf Kart?
Yeah, do they have a
Okay.
Snork
I
spot?
was about to say, where's the
gosh.
Snork Kart?
Oh no, not the Snorks.
Think of the Snorks cart, though. They could just blow out of their little hole.
Yeah, that is a sentence.
Gosh, Senator said played a
what
good
do they
amount.
call it? What is the Snork? Is it their blowhole? What the hell is it?
Let's call it the Snork hole.
Is it the snorkel? They blow out of their snorkel to propel themselves through the water?
I don't know if
Just
I'm
like you
comfortable
would as
with
a
this.
swimmer. A snorkel.
That show is
all right.
actually trash,
All right.
but I watched it.
It is trash.
Senator says played a good amount of ReVerse this last week and was wondering if anyone tried it out. I think it has potential, but needs a lot more dev time. That game has not, it just hasn't looked good for a while, unfortunately. Basically, ever since I showed it, so I kind of walked right past that one, to be honest. Jose says, has anyone tried the RX 6400 low profile? Thoughts? I haven't tried a low profile card in a long time. I mean, I'm talking, gosh, might have been the 7 series, like 750 or something like that. It's been a long time.
The 70s.
No, they're video cards, but it's the low profile cards have never, I don't think have ever been like really good in terms of the value proposition. It's more of a necessity to fit into just a small case, like one of those pre-built Dells or something.
Remember the Dell kid got arrested for having pot?
It was in a backpack, right? He was like walking around with it.
Yeah. That was when it was like a big deal to have that. He like lost, didn't he lose a sponsorship with Dell over that too?
Gosh. The Uncharted Wolf says, any predictions for Sony's slate of games next year other than not remastering Bloodborne again? Also, thanks to RGT for the Helena Taylor updates.
You're welcome.
Slate of games next year? They'll Spider-Man 2. There we go.
Minimum.
That'd be good. I mean, it'll be good. But yeah, that's the thing. It's like maybe the factions Naughty Dog multiplayer.
I think so, but that's a free to play game, so
Maybe the
about the
Horizon.
Wait, what about the Order 1888? That's coming out, isn't it?
Oh,
Who's developing it?
I don't know.
not ready.
FEG, do you have something to
Partake
tell
call.
us?
Shut up.
Are you making
nobody?
it's on the Carbon engine, isn't it?
Need for Speed Carbon Engine. All right,
Shut
here
up,
we go.
Sean.
This is Daniel says Nate's borderline Amish. You're cool, Nate.
Why? Because
You're cheap,
don't
I
waste
guess.
good
Yeah.
sneakers in yard work?
Callan Shaw says, I am loving
Called
Bayo 3 so
frugality.
far. It's really wacky and fun just in my first side level and it's like a completely different game, the 2D one. The cinematics are fast and ridiculous. Gameplay is butter, 10 out of 10. And we have 3D says, I just played COD quick match. The only loadout available for the entire lobby was sniper rifle and pistol. Very interesting bug or feature. I don't know. Sometimes they throw random like game types. I haven't tried them all yet, but it's like in Halo. Sometimes we'll play one and it's like, here's rockets and repulsors. Good luck. And there's no gravity.
Zero gravity. Yeah.
Yeah. Like those are fun because it's just random. Anson with a little sticker here. Anson. Joe says we need that Switch Pro.
Me too.
I think I'm ready for it. Hey, year 7 next year. You never know. About to finish six.
It's not coming.
About to finish up 6 years of the Switch, by the way, in March.
Come on, OJ.
Isn't that ridiculous? 6
not
years
coming.
of the Switch. Wow.
I'm telling you, it's not
And
coming.
out of
You
those
guys
6
know the
years, like 4 of those years have been spent. Hey,
They
when's
should
that
just start
Switch Pro
they should
coming?
just start making GameCube games again. I mean, they can target that hardware.
Whoa,
agree with
whoa.
Let's go.
Let's not go crazy now. Come on.
Why do we ever move on from it? You can get HD out of it. Ryucat says, I'm buying Bayonetta 3 tomorrow. Thanks to Helena and Nate reminding me. It's the programmers that make the game what it is. About the frame issues with Bayonetta 3. Would buying the fastest read write micro SD card help with that?
No.
It will not.
Loading times on that game are actually really good.
Okay.
There's a lot of stages that's just seamless. Like there's no loading at all. So they did a great job with the loading screens and the loading performance.
Ira says, bet a Switch Pro would have poor battery, though. I think a Switch Pro would probably have similar battery to the original Switch. Like that
What doesn't have poor battery
3-ish
these
hours
days?
of battery is what just my estimation would be right now. But I mean, they'd be able to customize it and work with clock speeds and do all kinds of funny stuff to try to get that battery correct. But people seem to think if they did a Switch Pro, it's an hour battery, and that's just not the case.
2 hours.
Yeah, people seem to think like they're gonna build the Switch Pro out of 2017 technology. That's what they're gonna
Switch
do.
Pro though, guys. I'm just letting you. There is no Switch Pro. Just
There's no
make
Switch
sure.
Pro.
There's no Switch Pro.
Well,
Currently for
the
sale.
next generation Switch.
There
that
you
one.
go.
It's not going to be backwards compatible either.
No, it's backwards compatible.
Yeah, what if they show up with those cartridges? Yeah, those don't work now.
Because
That would be crazy.
All
they're
digital, but
continuing
for
their
a
Nintendo
different
accounts.
shop.
That would be crazy. But yeah, they're like, oh yeah, the digital downloads work. It's like, hold on a minute.
Now that doesn't even make sense. But then
And
again,
then-
it does though. Wait, didn't it? I mean, with the PS5 digital, right? Like, so
That's why they don't have a virtual console right now. You sign in with your subscription, you'll get all your N64 and Super Nintendo stuff. You're good.
And here's what they're
That's all
gonna
everyone
do.
plays.
You get the new Switch 2 Pro, whatever it's going to be called, a new Switch next generation console, and then you get
It's a
the
long
online
name.
service, you get the expansion pass, and then they just re-give you those same games again because you don't have them on there. It's like, hey, we're going to give you Mario Party this month. It's like, but I just had that on the Switch. Yeah, but you don't have it on this Switch. So there you go.
Nintendo
It's
don't do anything
Nintendo
weird.
way, man. They sell you the same
got
ones
us.
that you already bought.
I'm
Nintendo
so
don't
The
sell
real
anything.
question is, will it be Mario Kart 8 with all the new things built in, like with all the new tracks built in?
no,
Mario Kart
season
8
2.
Deluxe
You'll get
Plus?
season
no.
2 of more tracks.
Nintendo, don't do anything weird. Okay, don't get crazy here.
They'll just turn the 8
stay the course.
sideways. It'll just be like Mario Kart
gosh.
Infinity.
Stay the course, Nintendo. That's all. Stay the course. Mr. Super says when the Switch Pro comes out, I don't want to hear no crying. Apparently nobody
Why would
wants
they
the
be
Switch
crying?
Pro. So when the Switch Pro comes out, I don't want to hear anyone. I shouldn't hear anyone excited about it. Nobody likes this thing. Just don't even do it. Daniel says, trying to join the gaming industry with you guys, but I'm not as educated as you all. You think I'm at a loss with very little knowledge from past games. Been up to date for the past 5 years or so. Probably not, no. I think you could jump in and build your knowledge as you go anyway.
I am not in the gaming industry.
You can
Yes,
do
you
your
are.
thing. Everyone can take a shot at it. Start a YouTube channel and just talk about what you like.
Nah, bad idea. Start a YouTube channel and do whatever Jordan's doing. That better idea.
No, do whatever Sean's doing because he wakes up, he makes a video in 10 minutes, and then he goes about his day and enjoys his life.
That's true. Do whatever Sean's doing. Wait,
Oh,
no.
you gotta figure it
That's
out.
gonna get you.
Okay, no, I'll do that. No.
Sit there and
Man's in
cry
tears over here.
uncontrollably.
I don't think he's. I think he's
It's
doing
not
very
gonna
well.
work. Don't do what Sean's doing.
Sean does that. You got to figure it out, man. Sean was like, I woke up from my nap. I'm like, from doing what?
I like naps.
He did though. He's like, I took a 2-hour nap. I was like, what? Yeah, there's too much happening. I was working on the car. I had to get that Pinto under 4 seconds.
I got it.
And I meet Paul.
Yes, sir.
This is from Emblem says RGT85. Did you get your Sega Genesis Mini too? If so, what did you think about it?
It comes in Tuesday. Fuck you, MVG. It comes in Tuesday.
I got mine right here.
There it is. There it is.
Whoa.
I have a video coming out on Monday.
Oh, he's gonna beat Sean to the punch. Look at that.
Wow.
Amazing. Burn says, you might disagree, but each release makes me want to Switch Pro more. Got Persona 5 and its 540 handheld very noticeably blurry and docked. No, I think a lot of people, I think most people would be all right if there was some sort of new Switch if it all played the same games. Who cares then? It's all, you don't have to upgrade at that point. But I mean, hey, the Switch, almost 6 years old. I think people would be okay with it. It's served its time. As long as they don't do anything weird and get rid of the hybrid model or some strange thing.
There is no Switch Pro. Go get a Steam Deck and play Persona 5.
I want the Switch Pro. I want the
Go
NVIDIA
get a Steam Deck.
DLSS
It's 800p
4K,
on Steam Deck, portable.
the whole thing.
What's with this Switch Pro slander, OJ? What's going on?
There is no Switch Pro. Everyone's hyping people up for Switch Pro for how many years now?
Since before the Switch existed.
6
How
years.
many years now? And it doesn't happen. I'm just saying, I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there really isn't one. So just get a Steam Deck and enjoy your games.
But the Steam Deck doesn't do 4K games on the TV. I want the Switch Pro.
He said
DLSS.
that it was blurry in handheld at 540 or whatever,
540.
and in docked it was blurry. So if he got it on Steam Deck, he can get a better resolution, portable mode,
Mhm.
and he can dock it as well,
But
and he can be happy.
But what if they want a physical copy on cartridge?
But they clearly don't care.
What if they have a physical copy on cartridge? They just
But
want
they
the,
don't
the
care
Switch
about
one.
a physical copy on cartridge.
They want the box copy.
They didn't say that. You gotta ask them again. Hey, tell that dude to donate again.
Tell you what, I've been playing, just the highest quality, pushing the limits of the system games on the Switch or in the Steam Deck since I've got it. From playing the Spyro Reignited trilogy for the 9 millionth time to playing golf with friends every night. I'm really pushing it to its limits.
Play Spider-Man.
No,
No.
I have that on the PlayStation.
So do I, but you can't play the PlayStation.
I don't want to
version
play
of
it
the world.
again.
I already played it once. I don't want to play it again.
I've
You
played
can
it twice.
Taking a dump, dude. You know how cool that is?
It is
Arkham
cool, but I
City,
can play.
swinging around the city.
But
What's
I can play.
stopping you from doing that
anything.
normally?
You got to be in the bathroom to do that.
Sean, you're like 10 minutes away from just buying adult diapers and sitting on your chair playing your.
We're just cutting a
consoles.
hole out in the bottom of that chair and just letting it
Talking
happen.
about Nate, you're 10 minutes away from
don't
getting
they-
a cap in your ass. You're like you living
Not in the
so ghetto.
hood.
What are you talking about?
What? Because I have yard sneakers?
No, because
It just be calling. It is called
You're
being
the-
frugal
you're in the hood.
in the suburbs. I have trees around me. I got a bar owl outside.
Nah, that's the feds. It's a fake
I
because
was
you know how
living out at
birds
the
aren't
bar.
real. Owls aren't real either.
Owls aren't real.
What?
Well, they
Can
are.
you twist your neck all the way around?
They are
man-
at Bohemian Grove.
Yeah, see,
man, Nate,
it,
you walk
it
to the
all making sense now, isn't it?
Oh
This man, they
no!
be walking everywhere, walking to the bank, the deposit, walking back. It's like you got a car. Well, that uses gas.
Nah, they got rid of the bank up the road. I got to
Open
drive to
that
the bank
third eye,
now.
Nate. Open that third eye.
They used to have the bank right up the road at the ATM. I could just walk there, make deposits. But no, I have to drive to the bank now. Very inconvenient.
Nate, you're
Much
one of those
prefer
guys
just
that
hopping on a bicycle or going to the bank.
you keep your check card till it looks all ghetto and nasty and broken down till they finally like those right about to expire, huh? Tell me you do that too.
I mean, to be fair, I do that all the time.
Daryl Kelly says today I saw where RGT once called John Bubba Ray Dudley. Wasn't was that Sean or was that OJ?
No, it was
Pretty sure I did that
Oh,
at
yeah.
one point too.
Also,
Did you do
John
it on a
now
video,
officially
though?
looks stranger with glasses. Right? See?
I called myself Devon though, so it was all good.
Look, my eyes tearing. See it?
Oh
Crying.
no.
Aw,
Everyone's
it's gonna
so
be
mean
okay,
to
man.
me.
It's okay.
Georgie says Spawncast episode 225. John claims to boycott Activision Blizzard. Or wait, ABK.
Activision Blizzard.
ABK is a juggalo rapper called Anybody Killer. He has a
Oh.
lisp.
Well, yeah, I don't think I'm
At least
listening
he's
to
equal
that.
opportunity. That's good.
Oh, okay. Okay. And then Augustin says, "Good evening, John, and the Spawncast. I just got off work. Did I miss anything important? Keep it up. Love you all."
There's nothing important on this show ever, so you're good.
Shout out to Ford8484 again. And then Rovita says, by the way, there's super chat on the stream that went down. Yeah, it just piles it all into like one section here. Some of these were before I think we were even live. So we should have everything there. But if I missed one, let me know in the chat and we'll circle around if we need to. Let's talk about God of War. We had previews go up for God of War Ragnarok. Also, this game has leaked continuously over the last 7 days. I think people just have the game right now, not reviewers, but I think people just have the disc or something because it's just the gameplay's getting out there at this time. And there were some previews written. One seemed to strike a nerve. I think it was from Gene just mentioning that it does feel like a PS4 game. And yeah, that sounds about
It
right.
is, though.
It is a
is a
PS4
It
game.
literally is a PS4 game.
Yeah, it's a PS4 game. It was a PS4 game designed and then moved to PS5. So doesn't mean it's a bad game. I think people read that as it's a bad game, kind of, or it's an underwhelming game, and I don't think that's the case because there's some PS4 games you can play right
I
now.
do
that are
not
still
understand
incredible.
why people got upset with that.
It was interesting, right?
Makes no sense. It's a PS4 game where they put on PS5 as well. They have to make it for PS4. That doesn't mean the game isn't incredible. It can be a Game Boy Advance game and still be incredible. So I don't understand the issue there.
Yeah, like there are some games that, like, let me give you an example. Returnal, I almost wonder if that was a PS4 game at first and they moved it to PS5 and they just didn't have a PS4 version or something.
Almost certainly was a PS4 game. It started out.
Yeah, but that's like, it starts out there. It could have been on the PS4, but like, I'll just move to the PS5. It'll be something to help push the systems along. If that dual release PS4 PS5, would that have been a problem, or if they just pulled it away and it's PS, or if like God of War there was no PS4 release but it was always designed for the PS4, just moved to the PS5?
I would even say that Demon's Souls started out as a PS4 game.
I could see that. Yeah. It's it was interesting the way that struck a nerve all of a sudden, because the game from the previews looked really, really good. I'm getting a little concerned right now with spoilers though, because this game is everywhere currently. So I haven't
seen one spoiler
ending.
For
Yeah,
it.
I see it on
either.
I see it on Twitter now and then. Things pop
I've seen
up.
the Bayonetta ending, but that's about it.
Yeah, people had put that out before the game even came out. Here's the ending to Bayonetta. Oh, thanks. Thank you for that. But God of War, the review embargo also lifts on the 2nd. That's Wednesday. The preview's out there. A lot of big talk about this. There was even some talk about Thor in the game, almost like where you run into him and everything. So it's, again, some stuff getting out there about like the first half of the game. Where are we thinking this is going to place though? We just saw Bayonetta come in at 89. I almost wonder if there's anything going on now where we see the sequelitis effect, Horizon Forbidden West coming in lower than Zero Dawn.
What did 2018 get?
94?
I think this is going to do like 90, 91.
Yeah, 91, 92.
Maybe
I'm thinking
92.
Dude, that 90 has been such a hard wall to crack through. Like even Bayonetta got 89 and it's just stuck. It's like this 90 is so difficult.
That's a good thing. It means critics are being harsher on games.
That's a good
Whereas a
point.
generation ago, everything was like, oh, you're a good game. You got between an 80 and an 89 just by default if you were good. And then now it seems as though you can be a good game and they're giving you maybe a 75. They're actually being critics.
Yeah, Ghost of
and
Tsushima
not
got
just
an 80.
defaulting.
Ghost of Tsushima got an 83. That's disgusting.
That didn't make sense.
That doesn't make sense at all.
I don't think that's
I
the
agree
case.
with that score.
But it got nominated.
No one likes you, Nate.
It got nominated so many times for like Game of the Year and
No
all
one
sorts
likes
of
Ghost of
stuff.
Tsushima either.
Death Stranding
I
at
love
82
it.
though. Death Stranding at 82, Nate.
Yeah, it should have been a 12.
Oh, I knew that was coming.
Death Stranding doesn't
no
go
one likes you,
up in
Sean.
82.
I kind of disagree with what Nate said, though, that critics are being harsher, because I don't necessarily think they are. I think maybe for like tens and stuff, but I feel like mediocre games are getting higher scores than they should be getting, more so these days than before. Like you were talking about the whole Star Ocean thing.
Whoa,
I went from like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like a lot of mediocre games are getting higher scores because now we have this sentiment. Whereas like, oh, a 6 out of 10, that's the worst fucking game of all time. And it's like, this is kind of average, but I think it's the opposite.
I feel like it's heavily related to the RNG of which like reviewer on staff gets the things. Like even older games. I remember for Prototype 1, I think it was IGN's reviewer who was just like, I hate comic book video games. It's like, oh, this is gonna go well, and it was just the lowest scoring that they've done. It was horrible.
That first Prototype was fun.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It's just random, man. I think it's just random if a game gets before it got a 90 before in the past or now. It's different reviewers, different people, different times. It's just
different
just
standards.
hard.
There's
Yeah,
a lot of factors that go into play of why a game 10 years ago we got a 95 that maybe today we get an 85.
yeah.
I mean, they're all opinions with a numerical value assigned at the end. There's no value in the number and truth.
No, but it's weird because sometimes the text doesn't match up with the number where they're like, this is the best Bayonetta game ever made, and it's an 8 out of 10. It's kind of
But
strange.
again, that
They might have
ultimately
not liked
comes
the
down to
other
the
Bayonetta
opinion of the
games.
reviewer who maybe prefers this game over the prior two, and that's the number they came out with. Sometimes there's also some outlets where the number is not assigned by the reviewer itself. It is assigned by the editor who reads the review and then puts the number.
This sounds like
Yeah, that
really,
doesn't make sense. I don't like
Yeah, it
this
does
that.
seems
not make
like
sense at
the
all.
reasoning. This seems like the reasoning why it's better to just follow people on YouTube and stuff for their opinions on games, because it's the same person.
I mean, Game Informer once gave Paper Mario 1000 Year Door a low review score because they didn't think the game would sell.
What?
So
Valid.
Yeah, you can look into that. It was back in the day when Game Informer reviewed Paper Mario Thousand Year Door. They reviewed it under the context that the customers going to GameStop wouldn't be that interested in the game. So the review score reflected the lack of interest that the consumer base would have for it.
Hey, Nate, wasn't there a time?
Oh, someone took a screenshot of it because they were so mad at this.
Nate,
Yes.
wasn't there a time where you reviewed a game and you were like, "This game sucks, I don't like it," and you gave it a 9 out of 10?
I recall that. I recall that vividly, like it was yesterday.
Skyward Sword.
No, I did not.
I feel like
Was it an 8 out of
Clearly,
10?
the review clearly illustrated
9.
that while I had my issues with the game, if you could overlook these issues, that there was a game that you would find very rewarding in there. If it came
But
down
you
to
as
the
the
individual's
reviewer had the
perception,
issues. You are the individual.
The 9 was for those who are overlooking the problems in the review.
But what's
But
your
they did
thoughts
that.
on the
Yeah, but
game?
what
You're
I-
not reviewing it for them to
thought
be like,
for
"This is what
review
I
as well.
think you're gonna
And what
like."
I feel like you just said is universal. Like, I hate this game, but if you like this game, it'll be a 9 out of 10. It's like any game.
But that
any
shows
game.
what the value of a review score and the numerical point is invalid. There is no value to it. The value of the review is the context in which the written review is there. It's for you to read it, get informed, and walk away saying, "This game doesn't sound good to me." And then you move on. Or you read it and say, "This sounds very appealing to me." And even the critiques that they mention, I can look beyond those. I might find a game that's very enjoyable. You can look to Plague Tale Requiem. There are people who will nitpick certain elements of the game, but you could look at that and say, none of those problems arose for me, and I found a very enjoyable game there. It's up for the person to educate themselves by reading the reviews and come to the conclusion of whether or not the problems mentioned or the praise mentioned is enough for them to invest or de-invest themselves from a product.
Did you beat
But-
Requiem yet?
I'm like 2 chapters away.
Asshole.
But if you don't like reading,
I didn't have time this week.
if you don't like reading, so are you saying just reviews are pointless then?
If you don't like reading,
Written
if you don't-
reviews.
well, then you find, I guess, a YouTuber whose tastes match your own, and you hope that their opinion on the product would match what you
Dude,
would.
I-
for
No,
that
I like
said product.
going against the grain. I like to hear opposite opinions so I can hear other stuff like that. And if you're telling me you're writing a review
Well,
and your review is like, "Hey, I don't like this," but then you still give it a good score and saying, "Hey, you might like it if you like this kind of stuff," but I'm listening to your review. Give me your score, not what you think I would score it, because I would like that category.
No, the way I always approach my reviews is I gave my opinion of where I felt the game was strong and where I found the game was weakest. But I would also frame it as if you came into it as though you enjoy these type of elements in the game, where you would find is a product that may be very rewarding to you. But I, as a fan of not this genre type or this story type or this gameplay type, found this as a distractor. So if your tastes were more in line with mine, you wouldn't walk to this game and say, "I found this very promising." But if you were a fan of that, and that's why the reviews are always tough, because you always have a reviewer out there who may hate a certain genre, give the game a 2 out of 10, but people say, "Well, that person just hates this genre type," so their review is invalid.
I think you putting that sentiment in the actual review, great. Like, to go back and forth being like, "Here's why I don't like it. I think it's a detractor for me, but others may like it." But it's a detractor to you. You're giving others the option saying if you like it to go play it, but you're still basing the score on something that you don't believe. Like,
The score for Skyward Sword was also heavily influenced by my editor, who kept saying,
There's the real course of it. It's all a lie. Numbers are lies. Don't follow the numbers.
We didn't want to do numbers, but my editor-in-chief of the site at the time wanted to get on Metacritic.
What's his
Until he
name?
came on board, we did not do numerical scores.
Name him.
We strictly just had written
Slash.
reviews
Name and
because we
shame.
wanted people to read the review. When they came on, they wanted to get on Metacritic because it was going to lead to more review opportunities.
Say his name.
I'm looking
His
at
name is
this.
Steven.
I'm looking at this Paper Mario Thousand Year Door review, and you're right, Nate. This review kind of lays into the game pretty badly. The entertainment says sadly lacking in wit, humor, and intelligence. The dialogue kills the entire experience.
Shout outs to Game Informer for having balls for saying they didn't like the game, unlike some people here.
But they didn't say they didn't like the game. They actually said they liked the game, and they only gave it a bad score because they didn't think consumers were going to buy the game.
No, they said it lacked wittiness.
Yeah, and then they put out a whole statement after the fact explaining how they got to that review, and they were like, "Oh, we actually think the game is great."
So they're pussies.
They're really mad at the dialogue in this game based on this review. Like, they are really mad at it.
You can't be. I mean, these reviews, man. Honestly, man. Like,
If I don't like a game, I'm gonna say I don't like it. Go see
Nope.
Crash Team Racing. Go see Dead by Daylight. Fanboys of those games fucking try to crucify me.
But you like
they
that?
came for you,
ass
Sean.
Friday the 13th?
Fucking awesome game. Love it.
They were coming for you.
I don't care. Come. You
It's
can
like,
come.
I
You
hate
can,
it.
you can
Awesome.
see why other people
I
don't like it,
get
so
it.
therefore you give it like a 6 out of 10, even if you love it.
Yeah, no, if I love something, I'm gonna say I love it.
True.
All right.
Yeah, but your review of Crash Team Racing sucked. You said the
No,
game
it didn't.
sucked because you sucked at it.
No, because it had rubber band AI, and I clearly showed that. And
There
it
was a
rubber
comment
band.
that was awesome. They were like, "This is a 12-minute visualization of rage quitting."
But see, that's the thing. Nobody could counter what I said in that video. As far as the rubber band AI being horrible and the online did not work. It
But
had
if
a
you're good at the game, you wouldn't have counted those issues. You were just
All
bad.
kart races have rubber band AI.
No,
Yeah.
but not to this level. It was to the point of where it was like the character that was behind me got like blown up, and so they were supposed to be far back. It was something like that, and then all of a sudden they passed by me.
The
I
online
don't know. The
was
girl I
busy,
was
though.
dating at the time when that game came out barely played games, and she had no problem with Crash Team Racing.
The online
I
was
think you
trash.
just suck.
You probably played it on
online was
infinite
bad.
level.
Well, on Switch it was bad.
You probably played the game for her. And the second controller port was unplugged.
No,
and you were like,
I
"Here,
sat
baby,
there
pick
and I
this up."
watched her rock it. She was looking
baby.
forward to playing Crash Team Racing, and she was getting first places like she was friggin' Jeff Gordon out
Yeah.
there.
Can you hand me my outside shoes, honey?
Let's talk about Square Enix, because something weird's going on over there. I don't know if they're struggling or something weird is happening with this company. They had talked about their financials because they of course had to release their new report. They said they set new records for full year net sales, so that's good. Seems like in that regard. But then they start talking about their focus and forecast, and they did mention the global marketplace and what they had to do to continue growing and remaining profitable, which they said we need to enhance our presence in the global market by quickly establishing an organizational structure that enables us to consistently roll out high quality content, produce a selective and focused resource allocation, which requires revamping of our title and studio portfolio, saying now for companies that compete primarily in the Japanese market, given its graying demographics, as such, it is critical for our business that we produce hit titles that speak to the global market, which offers greater scale in terms of both customers and sales volume. In other words, the Japanese market is no longer sufficient for achieving a level of earnings that enables us to recoup our development investment and generate a profit. Also, then they talked about blockchain stuff and said that that's probably a good way to go for their long-term business strategy.
Great.
So, we'll see how that goes for them. But essentially, I mean, they kind of just said, hey, the Japanese market isn't, as it is now, isn't enough for us to remain profitable. We got to look outside of here. And which is weird because they definitely just got rid of all their Western studios, or a majority of them. They're all gone.
I think they want to be able to sell their games like kind of like how From Software does it, where they can just, it sells in Japan, or like Nintendo, it sells just everything just is for a worldwide base. It doesn't matter where. That's what I'm guessing they want to do.
Sure.
With their games, but yeah, it's weird. Like you said, they did get rid of their Western stuff, recently.
It kind of makes sense though, as to the direction of Final Fantasy, where they're pulling away from the straight up turn-based menu system gameplay, and now they're looking towards it almost becoming a Devil May Cry Final Fantasy game.
Looks like Devil May Cry, which it has the producer from Devil May Cry, so it makes sense. But yeah, I mean, I hope it works out for them that way. I don't know if it's going to work out the exact same way, but they're getting investments from like Sony and stuff. So I mean, like, it's limited what they can even sell. So they're gonna have to think about that. They want to become worldwide in terms of sales, but then they're also taking those investments from Sony, from different companies, to have exclusivity. So you're not building, like with multi-platform with the stuff, like you're not building that. You're just having it on one system. So, I mean, I know Nintendo does that, but we'll see how they do it, like, with this. But I don't know. It just seems like Square Enix is a little bit like worried about the cost, of developing.
I mean, some of these games probably or the prices of games, like in terms of making them, it's going up and up and up. It continues to go up. They basically have to look globally. And I think it'd be weird if they didn't anyway for their games. It'd be strange if they were like, now we're staying in one region.
I mean, yeah, their Japanese games, even their biggest stuff, even like Final Fantasy, hasn't been doing as good as they would have probably hoped for it to do in Japan. So I can see that.
Yeah, I wonder about Final Fantasy VII. Final Fantasy VII Remake is one that I don't know if they were maybe caught off guard or they thought they were going to sell a lot more in terms of that game.
They thought they're going to sell a lot more.
Like, I think they were looking at that like this is 10 million easy.
Yeah,
and that's, I don't know if that doesn't seem to be in the cards right now for that game, unless they start dropping it on. I mean, where they're going to put it, the Xbox, maybe a cloud version on the Switch or something. I don't know. But it's interesting because then they also talk about, once again, their investment strategy for individual studios, where outside investors can come in and drop money and own part of a studio basically within Square Enix and help fund projects. So, I mean, that sounds like you'd see Tencent roll in, you'd see Sony roll in, and maybe Nintendo. Nintendo might just, I don't know what to say, block, but counter something from Tencent or others. They've done a defensive investment before. And that HD2D stuff is really catching on with the Switch. So Nate, what's your take on Square right now? They seem a little lost, seem a little confused.
I wouldn't say lost. Everything they're doing is calculated, I think. The statements that they put out there kind of screams, we're looking for a buyer.
Oh, I was going to get to that. I was going to go to that next, but it does kind of sound like they're shopping right now.
They're shopping. They're looking for offers to see if there's someone out there who's willing to meet the price that they likely have in their head. But overall, I mean, their statement beyond that is kind of a nothing statement. The Japanese industry is shrinking. Of course, it's not a viable marketplace to solely depend on if you want to turn a profit as game prices and budgets continue to inflate. You need Western appeal. And the thing with Square Enix is that the majority of their successful properties are Japanese produced. So even dropping the Western division really doesn't hurt them that much. When you think of Square Enix, you never thought of Tomb Raider. You think of Kingdom Hearts, you think of Final Fantasy, you think of Parasite Eve, you think of what made Square Enix.
Nobody thinks about Parasite Eve.
I do, but that's just in
Nate, go ahead. Sorry to interrupt. I'm just being stupid.
People always associate to the Japanese products. So to see them go back and reinvest in what made them great and make them have worldwide appeal like they did during the PS1 and PS2 generations is exactly what Square Enix as a company needed to do and is doing. So dropping IDOS and all those companies really doesn't detract from Western appeal in any meaningful way. If anything, now those studios may have a chance to shine under Embracer Group. But I mean, overall, it just feels as though Square is looking for a buyer, and this is their indirect way of gauging interest.
Okay, let's get real. Does somebody take a swing at Square now?
I think Sony does.
You think Sony does?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay.
Yes, I'd say Sony would have interest.
Even though they're currently fighting the good fight against Microsoft with the CMA.
Yeah, this is business, not ethics.
Yeah,
no, but I mean, like, they're
show friends.
The arguments they're trying to make, and then they're like, now we're buying this big publisher.
I mean, show me a Square Enix game that sells like Call of Duty.
And that would be the thing. What does Microsoft counter with? They can't say, oh, we rely on Final Fantasy, because Square Enix or Sony can come back and say, you haven't had a mainline Square Enix game or a Final Fantasy game since 15 and didn't sell all that well on your platform. You don't need these properties. We need Call of Duty for some nonsensical reasons that they continue to push. But a sale of like a company like Square to Sony, it faced resistance as far as public discussion goes, but from an investigation of, is this going to strengthen Sony into some upper echelon that this harms Nintendo or Microsoft in a meaningful percentage? No.
It may be a shame because I assume the HD2D stuff might cease at that point. Well, like,
I don't think Sony cares about most of the library that Square. I think all they care about is Final Fantasy. I don't think they care about really anything else outside of Final Fantasy.
Like they could invest in the studios behind those larger AAA games if they really want to.
Yeah, I think that they might want to like invest heavily into Final Fantasy and like maybe like Nier, but like outside of that, I don't think they even care much about everything else.
Okay. I mean, that to me is why Square was talking about breaking stuff up within Square for investments, is because maybe someone doesn't want to pay the big money to get all of it, but
because
Sony wants to roll in with some money and drop some money into the studio behind the next Final Fantasy or something.
Yeah, because like you don't get, like if you buy Square, you don't get Dragon Quest outright. You don't get, Kingdom Hearts outright. Those have other, business dealings with that are outside of that, So it's the value of them. It's great if you would have got everything with them, but you don't necessarily get all of that, or you have to do other business dealings. So
I mean, I wouldn't be shocked if we even saw Embracer come in and invest some money in one of their studios, and they're like, we're part owner of this branch of Square now, or something. So it could get kind of complicated if they go down that road then, because it'd be hard once they start selling parts of the studios. It's gonna be very difficult to have, I feel like, one big buyer come in and take all of it if they really want to. So Square's they're saying some odd things. We'll see what happens to them. But we got Final Fantasy 16 to look forward to, and Forespoken. People kind of forgot about this game, by the way. Are people still thinking about Forespoken? Because I don't see anyone talking. Yeah, because remember they did that really cheesy trailer, and people were talking about that.
You guys didn't see Hip Hop Gamers preview?
There was a new trailer they released and stuff. I just don't.
Hey, I knew that would make you chuckle. You didn't see his preview? You guys are boys.
I do know Gerard. The good dude.
Some friend you are.
I can already picture the preview in my mind of how he's just sitting there. Yo, Forespoken, man. This game is fucking dope. Yo.
How accurate is it?
That's exactly how it went down, by the way. I watched the full preview.
And he's got the friggin' belt over. This hot hip-hop game coming at you. #1 game journalist in the industry. Yo, you're doing some freestyle
exactly
bullshit.
how it happened. Yes.
And he's always in his hand. He's always punching into he has his fist hitting his palm. Yo, man, that fucking magic on screen. Yo, this game's fire. This game's so dope. I can't wait. Coming at you on the PS5. Square Enix.
Yeah, I think
Hot 97.
You forgot that. You forgot.
I mean, I'm sure at least I'll pick up Forespoken, just see how it turns out for the podcast. If anything else, I mean, I played Gotham Knights for the podcast and Saints Row. I guess I can play Forespoken.
Okay, since you've talked about it last time, have you even played any more of it?
Yeah, I played more Gotham Knights.
Have you beat it?
No.
Are you going to beat it?
It's this game where I sit here and I look at the TV and like my chair back here. I'm like, I really want to turn this thing on right now. I have time. I can turn. But now it's like, oh, I'll just play this, or this instead. Like it's. I don't think I'm gonna beat it before the end of the year, and I don't even think it's a long game. Like every time I play it, I level up 2 or 3, 4 times even. Like I'm rolling through the levels and the tiers and the missions, but it just has not been fun. I don't.
Do you think it's gonna be? Do you think it's gonna be 25 around Black Friday?
I think it's gonna get really cheap really fast. I think it's gonna get cheap fast. It's just the game itself at its core isn't very good, which is a shame. So now I'm concerned about Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League, but that's at least Rocksteady.
The Rocksteady people just left.
Yeah, the owners.
They did. Yeah. They're out, man.
I said, fuck this shit.
I think it's because it's done. Suicide Squad's done, basically. I feel like they probably have bug fixing and other things to do, but the core concept around it is probably finished.
That's promising.
So
our game's done. We're leaving. Okay.
Well, they probably don't have to do. Well, they're leaving at the end of the year. So
I mean, they're the co-founders. They've been there since the very first day.
But here's the thing: WB and Discovery, they're going through some things right now. It sounds like they're cutting back. So I feel like they're in their mind. They're like, okay, this is all just about finished. What are we going to do next? And they're like, nothing expensive. So this. Do you start another project that might be 3 or 4 years?
Scroller.
Cell phone
or
game.
do you leave? Because apparently they're doing something else. I think they're just going to start a new studio. So they go off, start a new studio. Sony probably buys them without us ever seeing the game for some weird reason. And that'll be that. I mean, Sony's handing out deals, so maybe they do that. We'll see. We'll see. That WB situation got out of control. The problem is none of those studios are really worth buying now. So,
well,
except for like NetherRealm, right?
Well, no, because at first it was you buy the studio but not the IP, or something.
I
That
feel
was
like-
their rule.
Yeah, that was one of the stipulations that you could buy the studio, but you wouldn't gain access to the IP. You would have to license the IP. So it became that basic thing of like, I can buy NetherRealm, but then I have to license Mortal Kombat from
hell? That's dumb as hell.
WB.
Yeah.
Purchase
Yep.
these
Yep.
people.
And they were like, why would I do that? Why don't I just get them as a joint package? And they're like, no, that's not how we're doing things. And that's why companies like Microsoft were backing out. They're like, we're not giving you billions of dollars and we don't own anything.
Yeah, that sounds like Ed Boon owns the whole thing.
Oh, well, hey man, if he can bring it with him, there you go. That'll work. But if anything, at least NetherRealm will give him a way to make maybe Killer Instinct.
A Killer Instinct from them would be incredible.
That's what I mean. That would at least give them a way to do it. They'd have the talent there, or they can just poach the talent for the next 2 years and build it there.
Man.
So,
Well, Killer Instinct was great on the Xbox. Like, it's actually, it's obviously dumb, but yeah, I would love the new Killer Instinct.
if they got them and Mortal Kombat, they could technically do Killer Instinct and Mortal Kombat crossover for guest characters.
Oh,
That could be a potential monopoly on the fighting game industry.
Oh, hold on.
CMA better get a hold of
I'm
that.
just breaking out the M word. All right.
that would be great, man.
That'd be interesting. I'd be okay with that. Let me go over to Agent Redbeard membering up. Thank you, Agent Redbeard, saying
Fuck Agent Redbeard.
to get into coding and programming. Where should I start? There's so many options. By the way, you all rock and fear the deer. Oh, that's why. Okay.
Fuck him.
Because they just 360 dunked all over the Knicks. Got it.
A 360 dunk. That's okay.
There's a lot of. If you want to learn about games, there's a lot of YouTube tutorials out there to get you started.
What would you start with, MVG?
I'd probably suggest Game Maker is a good one to get started on.
What Unreal Engine would be good to like at least get your hands in, because isn't it still like you can just download it and use it and not have to pay for it and just tinker?
Yep. Yeah, Unreal Engine's always a good one. It's very resource heavy. Yeah, you need a beefy graphics card, beefy processor, beefy.
But everyone, all these
calm it down.
All these studios in the industry basically are starting to just use Unreal Engine. Like 80% of them are like, Unreal Engine, please. If you have that experience, that'd be great. So, doesn't seem like a bad idea to start learning with that.
Yeah, especially because it makes it easier to hire new people, so you don't have to freaking backlog them learning your own engine. It's just like, get in, do it.
Okay. Good stuff there. Evan, we have Discord questions left.
Still got a few, yeah.
All right, we can go through them.
When you first started YouTube, how often were you posting until you started seeing growth?
Years. Literally years.
I mean, John, you were posting near 2 times a week or something before we went hard weekly on the news, or daily.
Yeah, it was like, I think it was just kind of like 3 or 4 weeks of posting, and then it just got picked up and people started commenting and stuff, and then I was like, oh, I'll keep doing this, and that was it. It's kind of went from there.
And the rest is history.
Some people post for years though. Like some people post for, like MG said, some people just post for a long time. But when you get that video that can get picked up, search results algorithm, sometimes current events, sometimes it'll just kind of throw you in there, and there you go. You're off and running.
Do you guys use any websites like How Long to Beat to keep an eye on your backlog or see how much of your time a game is likely to take up?
Sometimes I'm just curious if a game, like if I look and I'm like, oh, how long would Near Replicant take or something, just as an example, and I'll look it up and be like, oh man, that's certain games certain games take a long time. But when you look up a game and it's like, oh, it's 8 hours. Oh, okay, cool. I'll check that out. That's what I mean. Sometimes the shorter games aren't a drawback, where people want like a 30-hour experience out of every game. Not always. Sometimes it's fun to get the Call of Duty MW2 campaign for 5 hours and be done with it.
We have a guy trying to get a Game Boy Advance YouTube channel going, and he's wondering kind of like what maybe he could focus on to like possibly make it successful. But I feel like that's too narrow and niche of a topic, right? Just Game Boy Advance. You think you could do it?
It is, but I mean, if I was going to do it, I would do like hardware pushes type videos. There's some definitely good ones. I mean, I think people have done videos on that stuff before, but that's always interesting. There's also those kind of goofy one-off things like Bot Kai, the Something's in Your Hand, and some of the lesser-known accessories for the GBA, the movie stuff. I mean, there's a lot you could dabble in with GBA.
Go OJ.
I highly suggest doing something like Did You Know Gaming if you're going to do that. Like look at like cool Game Boy Advance games and give facts and stuff on them. I think
games that never made it, if you can find out about them.
Yeah, like stuff. I mean, it's almost kind of like what Jordan's doing with his other gaming channel, which is doing very well right now. You know, so yeah, I would definitely do something like that.
I still want to comment. Sometimes people will like come across like they'll search up Game Boy Advance and they'll see that a bunch of people made a video on maybe a topic or a niche they were thinking of. And I say you don't have to, and they'll just won't do it. I think it's still a good idea to do it because it all comes down to personality, and that's one of the reasons we seek out different people for reviews. Even though everyone does a review, it's like what are they?
I think that's a big thing that people tend to either can't get over or get territorial with. It's like anyone can cover the same topics, and it could be either at the same time or at different times, because you can go, there's not one movie reviewer, there's not one game reviewer, there's not one music reviewer. Anyone can talk about a game, because no matter what, if John made a Golden Sun video, right, and I made a Golden Sun video, I guarantee you, aside from actual like facts that we have to mention, our personal opinions, our thoughts, our talking points, the way our videos are structured, how they come out, completely different, and it's catered to who we are and how we make our content. So don't ever, if you had an idea, don't feel like, oh, I can't do it now, so and so just made a video on it. Still make that video, just don't make that person's video. You know, you just make your own video. So never feel weirded out that you can't do something because someone else did it. And if someone makes something that you just made a video on, it's fine. There's no harm, no foul. It's everyone's just making their own content.
Yep. Did we have any others, Evan?
Yeah. With GoldenEye releasing and online only being tied to the Switch online expansion pack, do you think that this could be a timed deal? And is there a possibility for that remastered version to come to Xbox and PC after some time?
This isn't a time deal, at least when it comes to the multiplayer. MVG and I did an episode on my channel a few weeks ago discussing this. It's just a limitation of the emulator used for rare replay N64 games. It's just not part of it. No game from Rare Replay that was N64 base has online. GoldenEye is just falling into that situation. As for the remake, I wouldn't expect that to ever be released. What we're getting with NSO and the Rare Replay version seems to be what the deal was struck between all parties involved. And there is a reason that we're not going to get the remake ever released. And that's just a simple fact that people have to come to terms with.
What's the reason?
It's not nefarious. It's not like Nintendo. It's nothing too crazy. We discussed this also in the episode of why that will never see the light of day.
You have another one, Evan?
I mean, I don't really think we can even really answer this one. We have someone who wants to know, because of all the voice acting stuff going on, how studios like Monolith, Intelligent Systems, Team Asano, and such handle their voice acting budget, considering large amount of dialogue and low sales numbers.
Okay, so studios like Team Asano, it comes down to localization. Mm-hmm. So whoever's the publisher of the product would allot a certain amount of money for localization. Typically, voice actors would come from the localization side of things. So if you put in $1 million, you have $1 million for the translations, full localization, as well as the voice actors pay. So that's where it would come from.
Okay.
It can vary company to company, but for a general rule of thumb, that is how you should operate.
Basically, you thought Helena was getting screwed. You don't want to hear them numbers. They'll never play a video game again. Boycott Ubisoft.
Okay.
This is a hypothetical. Say Persona 6 releases on all platforms. 80% of the copies that are sold are on Switch. At that point, do you think Sega and Atlus would make more money from Nintendo by going exclusive on the Switch versus the sales they'd get from other platforms? I don't think so. If they themselves go exclusive, then Nintendo's not handing them more money.
They should put Persona everywhere they can. Put it on phones if you can. I don't know.
There's no reason or need for Persona to be exclusive unless they're getting a fat bag from somebody for that. you need to put it on PlayStation because there's still millions of PlayStation fans that just love Persona. So it makes no sense to make it exclusive at all unless you're making money, unless somebody's giving you a lot of money for it. So
I agree.
All right, and then two more. Really good. Do you think it would have been a bigger controversy if a Nintendo producer had retweeted a dishonest video calling for a God of War boycott and never apologized? I don't know what that's specifically for.
okay, so what he's referencing is that Cory Balrog, like he like called out. He was like, "Yeah, speak on." I'm pretty sure he retweeted it, and I think he also even quote tweeted and said something. But then he removed his quote tweet after the situation and never spoke about it again. But still has his retweet up that you can see on his page, which is kind of bullshit. He should have just completely removed it, or he should have put an update because now he has a bunch of followers who think that that's that, you know. So I think that's where this question is coming from, you know, or whatever.
Okay. And then the last one is the Spawncast all have such beautiful teeth. What's your oral regimens to keep them so clean? I'm missing teeth. It's just in the back.
I brush them.
Brush and floss every day.
I did that. Still missing teeth. Get your wisdom teeth. Get your wisdom teeth removed, because even if it looks like they can come in and they're fine, they could push forward and just start shattering teeth. It's not great.
Yeah.
Crest Total Care. That's my favorite. Or is it Colgate? One of those two. Total Care is really good.
It's so good. I don't know the name.
one of those two. Crest or Colgate Total Care.
I just put a little bit of water on my finger and I just
rub real quick.
Just start scraping.
I'll be completely honest. I just spent like a ridiculous amount of money on my teeth, so whatever.
I'm anti-dentite.
You're
anti-dentite.
You don't like the dentist. That's right.
No, I haven't been to the dentist in 12 years. I don't care. I got money. I could get fake teeth. Just kidding. I'm poor.
Right.
Yard sneakers.
Should go all.
I can't even afford yard sneakers. I go out barefoot.
He has yard sandals.
What?
Wait, what?
What the hell did you just say?
He said barefoot and pregnant.
Okay.
Yeah.
Congratulations.
This is from. I'll go through some of the final super chats before we wrap up here. Austin says, "Hi, Jordan picked up one of those Invader Zim skateboarders right after your video."
Oh yeah, my friend Bear Walker does the Pokemon skateboards. He's doing like Nickelodeon boards, so I showed off this Invader Zim board that he was doing. So, heck yeah! Thanks for supporting him.
Ford says, "Oh, don't get me wrong. I'm jealous too for being able to play games for like a living." Top of the morning from Buffalo. Cheers. You actually got a good football team to be watching this year. Good stuff. Fee says, "Why pay $70 for a 70 megabyte disc? Scandalous." It's a good question.
You're still getting, because you could sell that disc.
Yes, you can. You technically can. If it's better than a one-time use code, but it's,
just by the way, sure who you're selling it to has internet.
They
Who cares?
put that on
Ain't your problem.
That's true. They could have just put that on a DVD. They put it on like an Ultra HD Blu-ray, which is ridiculous. Joe says, "I'm sure they will probably raise Game Pass. Remember, they tried to double the price of Xbox Live from 60 to 120. Yeah, I think people kind of already forgot about that happening. It was a weird weekend.
It was such a dumb move.
Yeah. They need to get rid of Xbox Live Gold, by the way. Dude, the games with gold. Oh my gosh.
We're getting Thrillville for the Xbox 360.
Dude, it was dude, this past month was really bad. Like for November, I'm sorry, they just announced it. I don't even know what the games are. Like I don't think I've ever heard of either of them. 2. Remember they were like, we're not going to do 360 games anymore because we can't do backwards compatibility stuff as much. I thought they were going to replace it with something. They just didn't put anything else in. It's just, that's it. They just took them away. Afro says, "Cheers and happy Halloween, Spawncasting crew." Shinru says, "Any good Halloween themed games this year?" I mean, Bayonetta.
I mean, Ghostbusters is okay if you get it for like $20 or $30. I wouldn't buy it for $40 though. The new Ghostbusters, that is.
Ghost says, "I love anime," and say snakes. Sorry. Jan says, "Playing Tomb Raider on Game Pass. Getting motion sick." Tomb Raider? The third person too. Which one? Rise of the Tomb Raider? Well, hold on. I guess Tomb Raider 2013 get motion sick from it. I mean, I guess there are like parts where you're going down like the water and like the river and stuff. I guess I kind of see that.
Shadow of the Tomb Raider has like a big opening scene with like the flood water.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking, where the camera gets kind of shaken around. Yeah. Shinru says, is the market ready for a Nintendo Switch that's $400 to $500? Digital model $400, cartridge model $500. People adopted the Xbox Series and PS5. Okay.
No.
No, they wouldn't price it that way, I don't think.
I'm okay at $399. Drop it.
Yeah.
$399. Put it out there.
Actually, it's still too high for a lot of people when it comes to Nintendo.
That's why you buy the old one, which gets marked down.
Price the same as the Steam Deck. You're right. T. Jones says, enjoying Bayonetta and the Multiverse of Madness. Drum says, what's faster, RGT's Pinto or Bayo 3 frame rate? RGT's
close.
Yeah. RGT's Pinto is
depends how good of a launch I get.
It'll catch you off guard. Yum says, I have a copy of Xenoblade 3. Will it be possible to emulate it on the Steam Deck? If so, will the resolution be better on a bigger TV?
What's the resolution at now? Because you got to remember with the Steam Deck, it doesn't do it like a Switch where things get automatically better on a TV.
You got to play around with it a bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think if you're really going for it, you're probably going to have to get a nicer or a bit like
computer.
A big, nice computer. Yeah.
Get a TX80 3070 40
3070 40
21.
Nice 2070 be okay.
Blackjack.
Probably. Or 3080. But she has that 3080. The thing sounds like it's doing all right over there.
Yep.
Burn says
before the 4090 was announced.
You did it.
You did actually, didn't you? That's right. This is from Burn saying, OJ, Persona 5 is just one example. I like Nintendo and physical games. I have PS5 and PS4. I've played it before. I just like to play hybrid. More power. There you go.
Power, baby.
Throne says, opinions on Digital Foundry calling Bayonetta 3 an unpolished game.
Where's the lie?
It's
I don't know. I don't think it comes down. I don't think it comes down to polish. I think it comes down to hardware limitations more so.
Yeah, they're pushing that. That Switch is getting pushed pretty hard. I think. I think it just needs some help. That's all.
The Digital Foundry guy disagrees.
I think it's an optimization issue. I don't think it's
that's
a
what the
hardware
Digital
issue.
Foundry guy thinks.
Okay.
But
Austin says Sonic Frontiers is out in the wild. Someone has it. I saw that. Someone's about to play what could be potentially game of the year. We'll see.
not wrong.
Apparently, the embargo is the day before.
Yeah, I saw that. It's like the 7th. I'm like, oh, this
I need
fun.
to hit them up about a review copy.
Sean, by the way, said that.
What do you want it on, Sean?
Whatever.
Okay.
Sean, by the way, said that his most anticipated game for November is indeed Sonic Frontiers.
It is.
Is what game?
Sonic Frontiers.
It is. And fuck you, Genesis Aladdin is better than Super Nintendo Aladdin.
No, it's not.
Okay, get into a fight. One person has an apple, one person has a sword. Let me know who wins. Thank you. Come again.
Is it like, well, hold on. Is it entire
designed by Shinji Mikami? The other isn't designed by Shinji Mikami.
Is it like the entire iMac? Because
one of those, fucking Disney.
One of those
Disney
like 24-inch iMacs. You throw it at somebody. It doesn't matter if they got a sword in their hand. It's over.
But one is good and the other isn't.
One is good and one is great.
Yeah, that's the Super NES one. It's great.
You guys need to have an entire podcast video about this where you guys just yell at each other about.
There's only one opinion that matters. MVG, which is the superior Aladdin.
Imagine listening to someone who gave Skyward Sword a 9 out of 10 on the Wii because he was afraid of his editor.
This
wasn't afraid of the editor. He pushed the score.
This sounds like an after show conversation.
God.
Shout out to Steve.
Hey, remember the Snorks?
Hey, he's a high up at a video game publisher right now. So if you want some review codes, I will get you blacklisted. I will use my leverage.
That's fine.
You want that Sonic Frontiers? It's about to go to the wayside.
What's faster, the blacklist from getting review copies or RGT's Pinto?
Triforce says Bayonetta 3 is such an amazing and ambitious game. It reminds me of an era in gaming when games used to be creative with their gameplay.
And complete no DLC, no extra expansion, no this and that. You get everything on the freaking cartridge or in the game.
This is Moon says, other than John, thoughts on Meta losing billions? And then we just have a few others to finish up. We'll do that first.
They lose money.
All right, Sean, what's more offensive? Skyward Sword.
Oh gosh.
Or giving Cyberpunk or Grand Theft Auto Collection 9 out of 10s at launch.
This really doesn't.
I didn't do that with either of those. So you got to take it over the person who did.
What of the two? Which would you say is more offensive?
Hey, it's apples and oranges.
I thought it was apples and swords.
Nobody did that here though.
Matthew says if Bayonetta 3 sells 3 million copies, Helena Taylor has to play Balan Wonderworld. I like it. I like it. Z says RGT and Spawn, when are the room tours coming?
Yeah, when you come over. Bring some cheap booze and you're a single lady.
There's going to be a knock at your door at 2 in the morning and be like, no.
You might get stabbed. Keeping it real.
Then says thoughts on MW2 multiplayer. I'm loving it so far. I'm having fun with it. It's still Call of Duty. It's Call of Duty, but it's fun. Lord says RE4 remake game of the year. Let's go. Hey, 2023 is shaping up to be pretty good. Although I think we said that about 2022 also. So here's hoping. And then Lord says, if you're rocking a console, switch to PC. L
No,
says,
I'll play whatever the hell I want.
L says MBG, does Sony's R&D share dev tech with third party, or do they keep the secrets to themselves?
They don't keep this. Well, normally what they do is they'll keep it internal and amongst first parties, and then when the time comes, they'll share out that information with third parties. But usually it's all in-house, and then, third parties later.
And then they say apologies, MVG. They had a typo in their original super chat.
Okay.
And then the gaming tro message there. And Rovita, should I use PS1 DualShock or DualShock 2 to play PS1 games on my PS2 console? By the way, RGT looks like a Halloween pumpkin with that beanie.
I'll take it.
Okay. I mean, you can use either one. If you want the exact feel, I guess, of it, and PS1 DualShock works fine. Go either way. Whatever feels right. Go around here. MVG, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on Twitter at Modern Vintage G and YouTube Modern Vintage Gamer. I'm doing the Genesis Mini on Monday.
Ooh.
And this thing is really awesome. So check out my video on that. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, I'll be checking that out. That sounds cool. Let me go over here to OJ. Where can everyone find you?
You found me right here on YouTube. Got some cool RPG videos, more stuff on Bayonetta coming, and Sonic, and whatever else, Pokemon, all that stuff covering it. Also live stream daily. New videos, live stream daily. So if you want to check out the channel, go ahead. Thanks for having me on. Shout outs.
I want to recognize Mr. Sudmuffin here with Streamlabs message saying the latest Nate the Hate episode was great. I only wish I wasn't made aware of the frame drops for Bayonetta 3. I'm never picky with graphics, but holy heck, does the prologue look bad? Cursed with knowledge. Thanks a lot, MVG. You're still great, though.
Yeah, look at you guys taking away. You're more damaging than Helena Taylor is. I hope you're proud.
As he said, he was
They sold
educated.
a bunch of copies, too?
We gave him information. She gave you misinformation. And she also made you a bag so you could buy Christmas gifts this year. You should be thankful, Sean.
They may have to send her that $4,000 check. She might have sold like 1 million copies on her own. Nate, where can everyone find you?
You can find me on YouTube at Nate the Hate. If you want to find out about the GoldenEye situation, MVG and I did an episode on that several weeks ago, so you can easily find that. And right now we have an episode talking about the Helena Taylor lie and how it's actually very harmful to the industry in a very unexpected way, as well as some of MVG's analyzation of the frame rate and such of Bayonetta 3.
MVP's anal live.
So that's what he's doing when he moves.
And you still don't get to see Nate's face.
No, you get to see MVG.
Look, I'm not judging anybody here. All right, if that's hey, it is.
He was quite anal on his,
I bet he was.
It's good. Jordan, where can everyone find you?
I don't know how to follow that up. Hi, thanks for having me. You can find me on either Jordan Fringe or Jordan Fringe Gaming. Content output starts ramping up this next week, so a bunch of videos coming out on both channels. Thanks for having me on.
Okay, and then Evan.
You can find me on Twitter at Kimrex Project. If I ever go live this week on Twitch with a better internet connection over there, we'll probably be posting that information up there.
Okay, and Sean, you got the after show.
Yeah,
take it away.
Come hang out with us. I think we're 9 subscribers away from 20,900.
Oh, wow.
So I don't know. Come over. I've already left the chat. Sorry. Just type in RGT Live in your YouTubes. It'll pop up.
Okay. Thanks everyone for joining us for the Spawncast. We'll be back next Saturday night, 9 p.m. Eastern time. We'll see you guys then.
Think for yourself, question authority.
Question everything.